Hey everybody, Mark Davis joining you in the immediate aftermath of our Thursday, May 28th, 2015 show. And you know what that means. It means I have hot, fresh Republican field poll numbers from Quinnipiac University. Now, nobody's ever heard of Quinnipiac University except for their polls. So it's good to be known for one thing. I mean, if Texas, it's football. At Quinnipiac, it's polls. They're in Hamden, Connecticut. Does Quinnipiac even have a football team? I can't imagine. Anyway, what they do have that everybody pays attention to is polling, and Lord, are we into the polling right now. And there is stuff that you might have heard by now. I'm going to give you some analysis on it. We'll talk about it, obviously, on every show we do for the next couple of days. We have a five-way tie for first place in the Republican field. A five-way tie. It contains Jeb Bush, Ben Carson, Mike Huckabee, Scott Walker, and Marco Rubio. They all have 10%. Now, the good news, if you're in a five-way tie for first at 10%, the good news is you're in a five-way tie for first place. The bad news is you have 10%, meaning 90% of everybody wanted someone else. But that's the nature of the beast where we are right now. So let's take a look a little deeper into these numbers. Let's take a look at who is not in the top five. Kind of interesting. There's no Ted Cruz and no Rand Paul. Paul was in either second place or sixth, however you want to consider this, with 7%, and Cruz with 6%. Before I get to those five frontrunners, these are weird times for Rand Paul. Two things are happening at the same time. His positives and negatives are both spiking because that group of uber libertarians and frat boys who love Rand Paul, who doesn't want to get involved militarily hardly anywhere and really hates the idea that the NSA might actually connect a dot or two to stop the next 9/11, they are just loving him lately. He's calling people names, he's calling the NSA sinister, and everybody in that wing of Rand Paul support just gets all moist about that. But at the same time, everybody who is serious about fighting a war on terror and who knows that the only way to connect dots is with the occasional NSA surveillance, they are saying, as am I, and I've hardly ever said this before, that under no circumstances can I support Rand Paul as the nominee of the Republican Party. And I love him. I love him on virtually everything else. If he is the nominee, of course, I'll crawl on broken glass for him over Hillary, but hopefully let's not even get to that point. So God bless you, Senator Paul, but dude, you are not going to be the Republican nominee, not with this wildly uber-libertarian outright hostility to the kind of NSA surveillance that has helped keep us safe for a decade and a half. Now, as for Ted Cruz, I love me some Ted Cruz, but one of the first things I said about Ted is he's going to have to broaden his appeal. Now, he doesn't have to do it in the first month of his campaign. It's not happening yet. He has 17% of Tea Partiers. They asked everybody, it's kind of interesting, they asked white evangelicals, for some reason, and their big darling was Huckabee at 17%, and they asked Tea Party people, who do you like the best, and that was Ted Cruz, to the surprise of no one. So if he can broaden that base, Cruz will go up from there. I'll give you some other people who are going to go up. Carly Fiorina got like 2%. That's not going to last. I'm not suggesting she's going to be the nominee, but the woman is great. Every time you see her, every time you hear her, you just love her more. I know I do. She may have running mate written all over her because, boy, what a magnificent weapon she is to deploy against Hillary. But let's go ahead and go with the five people who are tied there for that 10%. Jeb Bush, there's no getting rid of him until we get rid of him through the marketplace when real Republican voters rise up and say, we've just got to have somebody who's a consistent conservative. There's an idea. The Ben Carson thing is not a fluke. This quiet, mannerly, incredibly accomplished man with zero political experience is an absolute draw. Will this last a long time? I have no idea. Will he have a problem on the campaign trail, an environment with which he's unfamiliar? I mean, the guy can separate conjoined twins at the head, but can he last through New Hampshire and Iowa and South Carolina and compete in the sharp elbows of a debate stage? I don't know. Oh, speaking of debate stage, you know, have you heard about the Fox News rule? One of the first debates we'll have, August 6th, will limit us to 10 candidates. I guarantee I've already mentioned somebody who might not be on there. Bobby Jindal might not be on that stage and Donald Trump might. That shows you how crazy that rule is. If we've got 14 or 15 people who are out there running legitimate campaigns, draw straws. Have an hour debate featuring 7 of them, and then an hour debate featuring the other 7 or 8, and literally draw straws. I want to hear from absolutely everybody, And I don't want to have 3 or 4 people out there pounding on the door who might have a chance at achieving a great moment on a debate stage. So anyway, Bush, we'll see how that works out. Carson is absolutely not a fluke. Walker hasn't really done much since that star turn he had at the Iowa Freedom Summit. But every time people see him, they go, yeah, there's a guy who's a fighter. He's won 3 elections in 4 years, and Walker is a guy who you cannot ignore. And Rubio got a nice start out of the box with his announcement a month ago in Miami, and he continues to be, again, top tier. Huckabee is interesting because it's easy to take a look at Huckabee and say kind of yesterday's news, like quite literally. I mean, he won Iowa in 2008, had the nice show on Fox for a while, but is there anything that makes Huckabee relevant, like right now? And the answer might be those white evangelicals. I don't know why they made them white, but I think that Huckabee has one of the strongest constituencies among social conservatives. Also in that camp is going to be my friend, and I literally mean my friend, Rick Santorum, who is announcing, like, as we speak. I don't know how this is going to go for Rick. Everybody talks to me like I've got some inside baseball to this. I know I love Rick. I know I really, really admire him. But the thing is, I have absolutely no idea how that candidacy is going to go in such an already crowded field. So things are happening. We're keeping track of all of them. Thank you very, very much for paying attention to all that we're doing on the show. Much more to come and more analyses to follow. Mark Davis Show right here on 660 AM The Answer.